Welcome to JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News, supported by many art enthusiasts throughout the world, coming to you from the capital city of Jefferson City, Missouri. If you will, please join me in welcoming Miss Rebecca King, an artist from Sedalia, Missouri. Welcome to the show, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for letting me call you by your first name.
You bet.
Can you give us a little bit of a background of Rebecca King?
Okay, well, as Loretta Lynn says, I was born a coal miner's daughter in Bluefield, West Virginia. And when I was 3, that Mama and Daddy packed up and moved us and the grandparents all the way here to Missouri.
Wow.
And so that's how I wound up here. I have to thank them and praise them for doing that because there was absolutely nothing going on in West Virginia.
I see. And how many years ago was that?
You had to ask.
No,
that was a trick question.
But was it a child or?
I was 3 when we moved to Missouri.
So you came out of the deprived area of
the Appalachians.
The Appalachians.
Yes.
That is really, I had never pictured you as an Appalachian lady, but I do know those are hard times. So bless your mom and dad, as you said.
My grandfather was killed in a coal mine explosion right before I was born. And that sort of motivated my mother to kind of get onto my dad till he was willing to pick up and move.
Take the babies and let's get out of Dodge.
Let's get out of here. And so they did, and moving to Missouri just opened up all kinds of opportunities for us as a family and for me as a person.
And so you settled in Sedalia, Missouri?
Well, actually, I live about 20 miles north of Sedalia on Jey Road.
On Jey Road, I see.
Not quite all the way to I-70. So I love country living. And
that's just like going up north on 65 highway to Jey.
Yeah.
I believe I know that.
Yeah.
And so now you've been there since a child.
Since I was 3, right.
And you are living on in the same homestead, should we say?
Well, actually, no. I was blessed to marry a man who bought a place just about 4 miles from my mama and daddy.
Oh, excellent.
And I looked at him and I looked at that house and I said, this could work.
This could work,
And
yes.
we celebrated 31 years this year.
Oh, my.
So.
Congratulations. And would you like to name him and say?
My husband is Darrell King. He was former training officer at Boonville Correctional Center and former United States Army Ranger. Who a Ranger?
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's interesting, too. So you've been well taken care of safety-wise, I'm sure, by the Ranger.
Oh, yes.
And also as a great gentleman that came into your life. That's a
yes,
great
he's
story.
absolutely wonderful.
Great story in itself. So that's excellent. Well, please share with us then now. Let's go back to some time when you first was inspired to become an artist.
When I was about 4, my dad bought my mom a new coffee table.
I see.
And I carved a family into the coffee table. And I signed my work.
So you carved this into the coffee table.
And then I signed it.
And signed it.
I wrote my name.
Well, that's
So couldn't blame anybody else.
I see. So you was the blame. And what
But even then, I knew that people had fingers, you know, and that they weren't sticks. And they had shapes.
Yes.
And so, you know, my dad laughed. My mother didn't laugh.
I was going to say, how did Mom and Dad receive this piece of art?
Dad sanded it out and fixed it for
Oh, he
Mama.
sanded it. I thought maybe they would have kept it for
No,
a few years.
their house was full of my art, but that wasn't one of the things they were the proudest of.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that. So then what happened? You just continued from that point?
Well, I was always the art kid. You know, I was the one that drew things. When I was in the 2nd grade, I drew a Mr. and Mrs. Bunny Rabbit, and the teacher thought that the Mrs. Rabbit looked like her.
Oh, I see.
And was a little bit offended.
Oh, a little bit offended.
Well, it was a rather chubby bunny.
Oh, I see. Excellent.
But she was a little bit offended, and just from there, I was always the one that did the art projects. My art teacher in junior high and high school was Carl Prawl. He currently lives in Branson, Missouri.
Oh, I see.
And I have to say, he just turned me loose and let me, use all his materials and just paint and
So that was
grow
from
up all over
elementary
school,
through junior high?
That was junior high and high school. And then I went on to the college. At that time, it was called the School of the Ozarks.
Yes.
There I go again, telling people how old I am. And I went to the School of the Ozarks, and it's called. You work your way through.
I see.
So it's called Hard Work University.
Hard Work University.
It was a very wonderful place, and
oh yes, you work your way through. You earn your tuition, whatever.
right. And I had the opportunity to work in the Ralph Foster Museum, and I got to paint 2 murals as backdrops for archery exhibits. One from the South Pacific, and one for Indian archery. Not American Indian, but India.
Now, you're noted for your mural work as depicted in the painting beside your faces and stuff. Now, we're going to leave that there for the viewers, but we want to talk more in depth in the second segment about your artwork that we're throwing up on the timeline to view as we talk about it, and the pieces that you have brought to share with us through the interview and our chat. Well, what inspires you now to continue creating these awesome pieces of work? I meet with you occasionally at the Sedalia Visual Arts Association, and I know they're an inspiration to me, being around those people, like I've discussed with other artists there on the program. Just meeting with artists and rubbing elbows seems. So what inspires you to continue your love for art?
Well, family is my biggest inspiration. Is my family. They're just so darn cute, and then friends.
Yes. Well, your family.
And current events.
Let's say hi to them and point some of those names out, if you would.
I know who
if
they
they're so
are.
inspirational.
Okay.
Do you want to say hi to anyone special?
Well, I would love to say hi to my grandchildren, Savannah, Gibson, and Samantha.
Well, thank you for that. And I thank Savannah, Gibson, and
Savannah,
Gibson, well, thank you also.
And Samantha.
And Samantha. Super.
They did that
So
just
that's
to twist my tongue.
Yes, the 3 S's, I'd say. So that is your main inspiration now?
I would say that and current events. Sometimes if I watch too much TV, I get really fired up about things that happen on the world stage. And I have a couple pieces that were, well, more than a couple pieces that are somewhat political. And, I figured at least 49% of the people wouldn't like it on them, and because of that, and I didn't want to drop your ratings, so I didn't bring my political pieces today.
Right. Well, we have a local artist in town, works for the Jefferson City Tribune, and he also does caricatures there at the State Fair. And he's been on the show, and so he's the political artist. Now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and also we just have had, timeline-wise, we had quite an event taking place right now in the United States and worldwide from the, should we say, the brutality of some of our local police departments with the knee on the neck, and I guess laws are changing. So now, has these two give you any inspiration to begin a new couple of new paintings? I'm an ADD painter. I have 6 or 7 canvases going at any one time. Excellent.
And a couple years ago, I was inspired because the Sedalia Visual Arts Association was having a show at the Dawn Museum, and I was debating about whether I was going to show anything, because of my fragile little ego, and didn't want to be rejected and all that cool stuff.
Oh, my.
And so I painted a picture of me facing my demons, and and then it got a lot of talk, And I had also painted a series of wolves, and the theme was shadows, and so they opened the show with my wolves. And
Excellent.
so I thought, well, maybe I can do this.
Yes.
You know.
And you, I understand you thought about entering for the top 50 in the year 2019. Tell us that story, how that ended up.
Well, in 2018, 2017, Linda Hoover caught me at McDonald's and told me I needed to join the Sedalia Visual Arts Association.
Yes.
And so it took me a little bit, but I got there. And so I joined in June, and then in January, they voted me first vice president, which I'm still not exactly sure how that happened, but it was fast.
Linda Hoover is the president.
She's our president, and Chester Lux is our second vice president, and they are just dynamic people.
Yes, they are.
They're movers and shakers.
We've interviewed them on the program and look forward to it.
And so they put me to work, and so, which was really important because I'd been in a artistic desert for 10 years, you know, and not...
Now, describe the artistic desert. That's the first time how would you describe the artistic desert?
Well, there was no input. I could go online or I could go to a museum or something, but there wasn't anybody to talk to about. It wasn't anybody to work with, you know. I mean, I did. I kept doing portraits and kept doing things like, you know, for people. And I was just giving them away, you know.
So then you became involved, and now it's just been great since.
Right. They talked me into entering the Spring Fling last year.
I see.
And this placed honorable not that one. The other one placed honorable mention at the Spring Fling. And I had entered, I guess, 2 pieces at the state fair as an amateur the year in 2018, and they got nothing. You know, so anyway, I was talking to Alan Weaver one evening after the fair, and he said, well, if you're going to enter, you may as well enter the top 50. And so the next year I did. And lo and behold, they took one.
Excellent. And that's now hanging for our viewers to see if you're in the area. Where's that now hanging?
Well, the top 50 painting is one I brought with me.
Okay. All right.
Now, if you want to see some of my work, I have paintings hanging at Bothwell Hospital in the cafeteria, dining room, until June 15th. Yes. And then I have paintings hanging in Liberty Center until June 26th. And then there's also July 14th. If they don't cancel it, I will be showing some of my more controversial work at the police station at City Hall.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, we will talk more about those paintings that you've brought with us, including the one behind you, right after the break. So please relax, stay with me, and we'll be right back. Yes, there's more to come here on Mid-Missouri Art News. So we'll be back in 60 seconds and learn more about Rebecca King, the artist.
Asbestos is a naturally occurring mineral fiber. Because of its natural resistance to fire, heat, and electricity, asbestos has and continues to be used in thousands of different materials. These materials include automotive products such as brake pads and building materials such as flooring, ceiling texture, and plasters.
Because of the microscopic nature of asbestos fibers, once airborne, they can be easily inhaled. Exposure to asbestos can lead to asbestosis, mesothelioma, and several forms of cancer. Asbestos-containing materials in good condition, if left alone, should not pose a danger. However, if you are planning to renovate or disturb these materials, harmful cancer-causing fibers can be released into the air unless you take special precautions.
If you are planning to renovate or demolish a structure, federal and state requirements may apply. Missouri certified asbestos inspectors should be contacted if demolition or renovation activities are planned in regulated structures. If removal or major repairs are needed, people trained and qualified in handling asbestos should also be contacted.
Activity in areas containing damaged material that may contain asbestos should be avoided to minimize exposure and the release of additional fibers. Also, dusting, sweeping, or vacuuming debris containing asbestos should be avoided. If you cannot avoid walking through these areas, clean the area with a wet mop to minimize dust.
The Missouri Department of Natural Resources must be notified about all projects where greater than 160 square feet, 260 linear feet, or 35 cubic feet of regulated asbestos-containing materials will be removed, and for all regulated demolition projects regardless of whether asbestos is present or not. The department regulates demolition and renovation projects involving institutional, commercial, public, industrial, or residential structures, installations, or buildings. The only exception to this regulation is for a single residential structure that contains 4 dwelling units or less. Enforcement of the asbestos regulations is also delegated to 4 local agencies in the state. These local agencies are the health departments in Kansas City, St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and Springfield Greene County. If a project is to occur in one of these jurisdictions, you should check with that local agency for additional requirements. For more information about the asbestos regulations, contact the department at 573-751-4817 or toll free at 800-361-4827.
Welcome back to Mid-Missouri Art News. Join me now as we continue our discussion with artist Rebecca King of Sedalia, Missouri. Well, welcome back, Mrs. King. You showed a lot in the first segment and surely have gained the attention of our viewers worldwide here on Mid-Missouri Art News. Your work is so outstanding and awesome and so much to talk about as we now dig in a little bit. So my first question is, please explain your favorite type of work. What do you like to do best when you pick up the brush or the pencil or pen?
I love doing people and animals. That's my, I just have had an affinity for that, my whole life.
I see. Now we have a painting just behind you that you've completed and want to share with us. Tell us about this painting, if you would, and how it was inspired naturally, and if you want to point out some of those folk. I think I see Willie Nelson in the middle there. And
believe it or not, and you probably didn't know this, but Willie's donated a lot of money to cancer.
Yes, he has. I'm very good friends with Willie. Waylon. So tell us a little bit about how you was first inspired.
Well, my sister-in-law's sister had been battling ovarian cancer.
I see.
And she beat it.
Oh, and she beat it.
And she beat it. And they have a big celebration on their 1-year anniversary of beating the cancer.
And they have
right. They have a Relay for Life walk. This part was from a photograph of the 3 sisters who walked, and they were so proud. And the rest of it just sort of came from wherever, from the walk. As you say, I looked around for people. Sheryl Crow has battled breast cancer. His name, I believe, was Adam Walking Tree. He battled liver cancer, and George and Laura Bush, they did an awful lot to promote cancer awareness. And Patricia Arquette, this is Dr. Lee, my dad's cancer doctor, one of them. Melissa Etheridge, she fought cancer. Bruno Mars has raised money for cancer. Maya Angelou, she passed away from cancer. The gentleman who played Wolverine, Christina Applegate, Patrick Swayze, and my dear mother-in-law, and my grandparents, and my papa, and my husband has cancer.
And the ladies in front, they are currently battling, and the ones down in the lower part?
Well, so far, 4 years cancer-free, 3 years cancer-free.
Oh, great.
So that's just the most wonderful. But Amy was the inspiration.
Amy, and
Amy.
Amy's last name, and what town is she from?
You had to ask me.
Yes.
She's from Sedalia.
From Sedalia.
Her maiden name was Hayes.
I see.
And she's gonna Shrek, I think.
I see. So she is was the inspiration for this.
And she inspired this, and her fight and her win.
Oh, that's really unique, and what a way to honor those who have.
See, that was Senator Kane and Don Sears from the Time Jumpers. And
So that's a great way that you've chosen to honor those that have fought or battled or survived, or those that really have contributed. So thank you so much for sharing that.
thank you.
Next, we'll turn to another painting, and give us a little preview on the next painting that you're going to share with the viewers.
My next painting is called Uncle Joe's Spaghetti. And my husband had a little bitty, teeny tiny square black and white photograph from when he was a baby. And it was taken in his Uncle Joe's house, and Uncle Joe was serving up a big pot of spaghetti, and everybody was sitting down at the table and eating. And my husband was just not quite one in this picture. And he asked me if I would paint it. And so I did. And then I entered it at the state fair in the top 50, and it was accepted.
Well, now we'll turn to that painting next.
Okay, well, this painting is called Uncle Joe's Spaghetti, and it was taken from a teeny tiny black and white photograph that my husband had. This is my husband when he was just a bambino, and his mama Rita, his papa, and his Uncle Joe, his sister Marilyn, and his cousin Jody. There were others, they just weren't at the table yet.
I see. So this is Uncle Joe's Spaghetti. Now this was in
That was a big occasion.
That was a big occasion. Now you spoke of this being in the top 50.
Yes.
And the year?
2019.
2019.
Last year.
Excellent. That's very, that's a typical spaghetti dinner. We had just no spaghetti bibs though at that time, I guess.
Well, no.
I mean, you have to get messy when you eat spaghetti, so that's great. Well, thank you. Have you any more to add about this painting before we go on?
My husband asked me to paint it for him. He had so very few photographs from when he was a child.
Sure.
I've kind of done some photo remakes for people off and on over the years, colorized their pictures and
So
things.
does this now hang over your dinner table?
This hangs over the buffet in the dining room,
I
yes.
see. I thought that would be a good spot. All right. Well, so then what is your favorite medium to work with? What are you,
I guess whatever I'm doing right now is my favorite, but I typically use acrylics because with oils, the fumes and stuff bother my husband.
I see.
And I just like the texture and the thickness and
the drying time.
yeah.
Yes.
And I can set up when I have that mood and I want to paint, I can set up 2 or 3 canvases and just this
I
one's
like
wet.
to work with 3 at a time. Since
know?
you mix up the paints, you might as well use them all
Right.
up on the 3
Exactly.
canvases. So I like to get a series of 3 going, and sometimes related topics. So that's great. And actually, your values are really show up well for acrylics and your acrylics there. So that's really great. So your favorite subject matter, has that been determined, or you just pick up ideas? Inspired by, earlier said, by the current events?
Yeah, current events. I have one that I called Proud Day for the USA, and it is a map, basically, of the Middle East with our brave eagle flying across with Osama bin Laden's head in his clutches.
Oh, I see.
And, you know, dripping blood, and the snake at the bottom has no head, and things like that. And so, yeah, I get kind of fired up about things.
Well, do you have any then planned exhibits for the future that our viewers may take a look at?
Well, if they do not cancel it, I will be showing some work with Maren Chenoweth at City Hall in Sedalia, July 14th.
Oh, excellent. That's of 2020, July 14th.
Yes, July 14th,
Some of our
2020.
viewers tune in and they don't really know what year it is.
Oh.
So right now, if you're into the 2020 viewing, you can look for it around the July 15th, I think you said. Okay. Do you do commission work? And if you do, share with us a way to get in contact with you, if you would.
Well, I think one of the reasons that I didn't want to become a professional artist or a graphic artist was because I'm not really good at being told what to do. And I did take a commission for a portrait back in 1984, something like that, from a gentleman that passed away. And I painted the portrait in good faith and from a photo that one of his children gave me.
I see.
And anyway, a little while later, I kind of got ambushed one night and by a different son who told me he hated that picture. He hated that portrait. How dare I paint that picture? What on earth is wrong? What did I do? It looked just like the picture.
Yes.
And it come to find out, and the youngest son didn't know, but the picture had been taken down in Florida when his dad wasn't home.
Oh, I see. Dad wasn't around at that time.
At that time. So the older one
So
remembered,
you don't, basically,
you know.
you don't take on commission work?
I don't.
Well,
I paint what I want
that's
now.
okay. Well, we're going to have to say goodbye for now until we see you again. I understand. I want to thank you for sharing your story with the viewers and myself here at the table. So do you have any closing words that you would like to share with our viewers?
Sure. Paint, draw, sculpt, get busy, get dirty, have fun.
Excellent. That's good advice. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you, viewers, for watching. It's been an exciting, informational, educational experience here with Mrs. King. So I think you will enjoy it as much as I have. Well, I do want to thank always our producer, Gloria Enlow here at JCTV, and her crew, and especially Art Gerhard, who has been with the station for years in a somewhat part-time basis now, been retired recently. So I want to thank you all at JCTV for keeping the Mid-Missouri Art News and Spotlight on the Arts available for our viewers. I'm Rick Jey saying thanks again. Stay tuned, keep viewing, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to check out YouTube where you see all the shows. Thank you.